Alright, we have another Lakers signing, and per usual, I'm not at my computer and they make the move. But better late than never, I guess, and the player I'm talking about here does happen to be Jaxson Hayes, returning to their team for a third consecutive year now, coming back to their team via 1-year contract, very likely a veteran minimum contract, which for him will be worth roughly $2.8 million next season, pushing them roughly $3.5 million below the first apron. Not quite enough to use their biannual exception, so I do think another move is coming here very soon, which we'll talk about in a bit here, but regarding Jaxson Hayes, I'm not that shocked about it. I know some fans might not be happy with it and aren't exactly happy with Jaxson Hayes, following him returning to their team and following him kind of flaming out last season, falling out of their rotation and their starting lineup in their brief postseason run. Redick not quite believing in him, and will that change going forward? Maybe, maybe not. But the thing that is for sure is that he won't be their starting big man going forward. Now with DeAndre Ayton, they don't need Jaxson Hayes, or not for their starting big man anyway. Right now, he is currently their direct backup to DeAndre Ayton, so kind of up in the air here if Jaxson Hayes will be the only center they sign, or will they sign another one to give him competition. I mean, yeah, they do have the combination of Trey Jemison on a 2-way contract. They also have tendered a 2-way contract to Christian Koloko. They've not signed him, but they've retained him via the restriction rights to his 2-way contract. Maybe they bring him back, maybe they don't. They also have Maxi Kleber, and according to Dan Wokey of The Athletic, the Lakers quote-unquote believe in Maxi Kleber's value as a stretch big. He's recovering well from a foot surgery last January, which he of course returned in and played in their final playoff game, and he could give them another dimension in their center rotation per Dan Wokey. So again, is their center rotation and their front court now complete with DeAndre Ayton, with Jaxson Hayes, with Maxi Kleber, then with either Trey Jemison and maybe Christian Koloko? Are they done, or will they make another move after this one? And you might be thinking, well, they have to be done, because they have 15 players on their roster and therefore they are completely full. And while that does happen to be true, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Yes, they have 15 players under contract, but not every single contract there is fully guaranteed. Shake Milton, for example, has a completely non-guaranteed contract for next season. I like Shake Milton, he's a decent backup shooting guard, point guard kind of combo guard, but if I had to guess here, they probably will waive him, give themselves the ability to use their biannual exception. Why wouldn't they if they have the ability to do it? Then sign another player after that point, which could be another center to give Hayes competition, maybe a backcourt player like a D'Anthony Melton. They've been linked to him and I definitely would have interest in him. Maybe a 3-and-D wing if there's one on the open market even, or simply put, they just have another ability to sign one more player after this. So no, they're not definitively done after this point. They can make another move after this one, and I personally think that they will make another move after this one too. Likely with waiving Shake Milton, I guess they could salary dump a guy like Gabe Vincent or maybe Maxi Kleber, but very likely with Shake Milton, simply waiving that contract and then signing a different player after that point. But going back to this current move and why it's actually not a bad move, yes, I know that fans don't really like Jaxson Hayes, or a large part of the fan base doesn't really, but they're thinking of Hayes as their starter and not as what he could be for their backup. And I mean, during his time as a starter for their team, he really wasn't that bad for them. In the roughly 30 games that he played and was in their starting lineup, primarily after the trade deadline, he did average roughly 8 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 1 block per game, shooting a team-high 73% from the field, which is very impressive. Yes, pretty much the entirety of his shots came directly at the rim and within 3 feet of the rim, but it's still very impressive nonetheless. His ability to be a lob threat is pretty much what brought him back to their team. I mean, they want to pair that with Luka Doncic. That's what Luka likes to play with, having both a guy like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford back in Dallas, so they're likely taking inspiration from that. Now signing DeAndre Ayton, he himself being a lob threat and a much more skilled big than Jaxson Hayes, but then having another lob threat off the bench with Jaxson Hayes. So in my opinion, that's kind of the primary reason why they did it. Not only that, but Hayes simply being familiar with their team and with their system definitely has some work to do with JJ Redick yet, has some more work to do to gain trust with him and have Redick actually believe in him in key moments and during the postseason, for example, but he does know their system. And in my opinion, that's actually pretty valuable with DeAndre Ayton not knowing their system. I don't think it'll take that long for him and won't be a big deal, but it is nice to have a backup big that's familiar with their system, played with their current group, and pretty much has been part of their team for 3 years in a row now, sharing that time with guys like LeBron, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, so there's some good team continuity here with Jaxson Hayes, and that's probably my favorite part about it. But then in regard to his stats and some advanced stats here, per bballindex.com, this is actually how Jaxson Hayes rated against other backup rotation bigs and among rotation bench players. For help defensive talent, he had an A- grade, also having an A- grade among post defense. Rim deterrence not that great with a D+, rim protection actually being an A-, and then between screener mobile defense and screener rim defense, also grading pretty well with a B and B- respectively, and then even being decent with perimeter defense at a B-. Though, like I said, that is against rotation bench players, not starters, and if you compare him to other starting level big men, this is where Jaxson Hayes kind of faltered. Being pretty solid with help defense talent, that still being an A-, but everything apart from that fell off greatly. Having an F grade with defensive rebounding talent, a C+ with post defense, a D- with rim deterrence, a B with rim protection, which is pretty good again, but then falling off again with screener mobile defense, perimeter isolation defense, and rim defense. So again, this is actually where Jaxson Hayes should be, coming off the bench for them, going back to that roughly 10 to 15 minute per game kind of role, being their starter in a pinch when Ayton might be hurt or simply sitting out a game. That's the role that Hayes is meant to play, not the starter that plays 20 to 30 minutes per game and that they actually need him for in key moments. So now he's back where he should be, and that should definitely help both him and their team going forward too, which is obviously a mutually beneficial thing. And well, you really shouldn't be shocked that he is back with their team. Like I talked about with DeAndre Ayton, he does share an agent with Luka Doncic, and so does Jaxson Hayes here too, all sharing Bill Duffy, him having 24 current NBA players, but 3 of them do happen to be Jaxson Hayes, DeAndre Ayton, and Luka Doncic, so I'm really not that shocked about it. Like I said though, only a 1-year contract, almost certainly a veteran minimum. At the absolute most here, maybe they gave him a slight raise with his early bird rights, but again, I really doubt it. Likely being a contract worth $2.8 million. I'm sure the numbers will come out soon here, if they haven't already by the time I get this video out, so not too mad about it. I don't think you should be mad about it. Hayes is a solid backup and should continue to be for their team going forward. The only other thing I'm looking for here at this point is if they will in fact waive Shake Milton. I think they will, and I really do hope they will. Nothing against Shake Milton, but with their biannual exception simply sitting there and collecting dust, they gotta make room for it. That's too valuable of a free agent contract that they have not had in years now to simply go to waste. Gotta make room for it, gotta waive Shake Milton or find some kind of salary dump so they can put that toward a different free agent. Whether that be a guy like DeAnthony Melton, whether it be a 3-and-D wing, maybe another center to give even more competition in their front court. I really doubt Al Horford's on the table at this point. With them signing Hayes, I really doubt they do that. I think he'll either go to Golden State or potentially retire at this point, so I think we can unfortunately take him off the board here. Maybe a different backup center, maybe a guy like Precious Achiuwa for example, maybe a hybrid big like Chris Boucher, maybe a Kai Jones even for a 2-way contract, who knows. I really am curious about what you guys think about that. If the Lakers would in fact waive Shake Milton and want to use their biannual exception, who do you like to see them pick up? Would you like to see them still go after Al Horford? Would you give it to DeAnthony Melton? Maybe a different free agent we haven't talked about, or maybe a 3-and-D wing that we haven't talked about? Which player would you target with that, and would you waive Shake Milton to get them? Let me know your thoughts and be sure to comment that down below too. Regardless here, the competition is not a bad thing. Adding more to their front court, adding a direct backup that is familiar with their system and now is back on their team for the 3rd consecutive year now. Not to mention Hayes only being 25, so he does have some room left for growth here, and I think he even showed improvement last season. I'm not mad about it. Could definitely be worse, and there are definitely worse options that they could have gone with. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers signing, or rather re-adding Jaxson Hayes back to their team? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think they could have found a better backup, or was he the best available option on the open market? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.